Hi, my name is Megan Buchter, and I'm the director of the Fowler Center for Business as an Agent of World Benefit at the Weatherhead School of Management at Case Western Reserve University in Cleveland, Ohio. At the Fowler Center, our mission is to educate students about the transformative power of business to make a positive impact globally. One of our key initiatives is the Aim to Flourish program, which collaborates with professors and universities worldwide. Through this program, students interview business leaders or social entrepreneurs from companies they admire and write stories highlighting how these businesses contribute to one or more of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. These stories are published on the Aim to Flourish website, showcasing the remarkable efforts of businesses globally. Additionally, each year we award the annual Flourish Prizes, selecting one honoree for each of the 17 UN Global Goals from the stories published in the previous year, as determined by a rigorous jury process. I'm really excited today to be meeting and talking to Dr. Tope Mitchell from the organization Reflekt Me. And Reflekt Me has a story on the Aim to Flourish platform that was one of the finalists for our Flourish Prize category for social inclusion and innovation. And it's a great story. So if you haven't gotten a chance to read it, please go read it. But I'm really excited to be talking to Tope today. And I'm just going to start by asking her to tell us all a little bit about her organization, and we'll go from there. Tope?
Thank you. I'm really happy to be here and talk about this. Hoping that someone will listen to this and get excited to create something similar so we can all make the world better together. So Reflekt Me, we are a business to business or B2B software as a service, so SaaS product. And we are focused on online retailers and brands who want to have a better connection with their online shoppers. We say that we create these online shopping experiences that are as fun as TikTok. They're more affordable than Google ads, but they have a better sales conversion than, say, Instagram. We found that Instagram has like a 12% conversion rate or so, and ours is 75% sales increase in conversion. We have other really great metrics for our clients too, but the real heart behind our company is creating this level of empathy for others and self-love and seeing a reflection. So that's why the name of the company is this call to action, Reflekt Me. You know, companies really need to understand that we deserve a reflection all across our different backgrounds. So when you show, a shampoo, let's show it across different hair textures. When you have, jeans, when you have dresses, let's show it across all the sizes, because marketing has been so focused on the ideal self. Like there's one ideal self that we have as a country, and everyone else just falls categorically below this ideal self. And that's caused us so much detriment. I am in meetings like this, seeing people like you, and I'm like, she's gorgeous. Does she know that she's gorgeous, right? Because we've always been given this kind of one ideal, right? And so even when I tell people about Reflekt Me, they're like, oh, I'm so glad that you created that because my body's weird. I have a hard time finding clothes. And they start doing the self-deprecation instead of throwing that back onto the online store and saying, or even, to be honest, even onto the brands to say, hey, you get one fit model that has one body type, and then you use this sort of algorithm and you've never seen anyone in every size. Right? Or you don't want to sell to certain sizes. And so bringing those brands into this new, and I even honestly say kind of new era of body positivity, body neutrality. Some people are like, look, I'm not quite there yet to where I love exactly where I am, but I can at least not be judgmental of who I am. And a lot of research has found that when you show people who look different and you're exposed to that at all times, then you start to see yourself. You don't say, like, if you scanned yourself and looked, because I've done that, you're like, oh no, oh no, look at this. And you start breaking yourself down compared to that ideal self. But when you see someone who's the same size, you're like, she looks good. She looks good, and so do I. And so that's why we use more images. And then it's also a vibe, right? Like we've seen a lot of brands really fall off because they put the wrong thing on someone, or they make a product that doesn't fit right. And if you put that product, that lipstick, that whatever on all these skin tones that also allows them, like TikTok, to tell you how they want to wear it. You can't always tell someone how to wear your products, how to put on your mask, how to put on your earrings, right? Like whoever made these earrings didn't know, like these are sets, but I made it one, right? Like they didn't know how I was going to do it. And so having that reciprocal relationship of getting content from customers, from employees, from people all over the world actually helps the brands too to understand who their community is, let them speak, and then let that tribe speak to other people who love your brand. So there's a lot behind it. It's not, and it's awesome that we increase add to cart 70% and engagement 300%. It's awesome for the brands, but I really love when I meet people who have experienced Reflekt Me. One woman actually, when we first started and just had a prototype, when I was pitching to win the first 30K to help build the software, people were tearing up. They were like, I've never seen someone in my size. And even when we were trying to find content for the prototype, we couldn't even find stock images of every size. It took us so long to find, the content. And we eventually built a small network of our own of a few hundred people. And you'd be surprised how many people go, I would really love to be on a website, not just on social media. Social media sometimes feels like you're to the side, but when you're on the main page of a product and then you go in as a shopper and you click see it in my size or preview it and you get to see all these different people, it's really inspiring and it's really affirming. So I could go deeper into the research, but we're only on the first question, and you can tell I'm really passionate.
No, that's so cool. What you're doing is so powerful. I'm curious, like as a consumer, if I'm shopping from one of the brands that you're working with, like, do I know that the company is using Reflekt Me, or is this all behind the scenes? Like I wouldn't even know.
Good question. It's a bit of a mix.
Okay.
So there's a thing in tech called white labeling, where people don't really know who you are. We started off with a call to action button that was Reflekt Me. And even when we started with Levi's, and Levi's was like, nobody knows what that means, and I'm like, well, they don't know what Klarna means or affirming, they don't know these other things. But obviously, even me saying it, like, who those brands are, but we were new and starting out, but it's a call to action, right? And so we changed it to see it in my size. So you wouldn't really know it's Reflekt Me until you see like powered by Reflekt Me inside of it. But we have our enterprise product for, these larger brands. It's called legacy system integration, where like they've already built their own infrastructure for their site. And then we go build onto it. But then you have things like Shopify, where you're going to this, storefront. Shopify has already laid everything out for you and you're downloading apps. So actually last week, we just launched our Shopify software so that you can just download it. So with some of the restrictions with Shopify, the button still says preview it, but that's so that people go press the button. When you're working with a company like Levi's, that's so innovative, that does everything they can to create like an awesome experience. We had a 70%, like 70% of people were going to click that button because they were used to having an innovative experience. With Levi's, like honey pops out, all these things. But when you're on a small Shopify store, you're not always used to having this really elevated, personalized, high-tech experience. And so when we were beta testing, we found that, again, like Reflekt Me wasn't enough to let people press that button. So we have the call to action, preview it. And so right next, to like where you're looking at the different choices, it's preview it. So, it's really about, it's great that we're social scientists. Like I'm a sociologist and my co-founder is a psychologist. And my CTO, he doesn't study social science, but he is so entrenched in like technology and understanding how people interact and breaking things and fixing them, that the three of us together are really focused on, what is the experience? It's not just about our goals of everyone knowing who Reflekt Me is. I mean, obviously, as a company and a startup, you want awareness, you want familiarity, you want all these things. But at the same time, we want to get more data on the experience. Our people, and we found that people would because we have back-end dashboard data. We don't collect anything. We don't steal anything from people. That's not our jam. That's not what we need. But we can see, like, if a user, if we're working with a client, we have like their ID or something, we can see that as soon as they went back to the website to buy again, they went straight to our button. Like, they were like, that's the education I need. That's the experience I need. And they didn't scroll down to see maybe like a gallery or clicking through maybe some of the images. They went straight to our experience because it made them feel connected. It made them feel like they were engaged. And to be honest, you get to the point where you feel really close to your clients and it's really about them, right? It's really about, what can I do for you? I think that, like, if you have a stylist, I know this is a funny analogy, but if you have a stylist who's like, hey, I'm going to do your hair, but I have this little, like, I'm going to put my logo, I'm going to like spray, I'm going to give you this like dye and put my logo on it. There is an element where it's just like, we just want you to do better because you, like us, want to help the people shopping at your site to see themselves, to make a smart decision, to not have to return something, to have that drop, to not have that drop when they receive your product and it's not right. So because we're working together, it's kind of like, it's fine with the white labeling and things like that. But I need to do more digital marketing on my side, talking, doing more interviews, making more content. And that's where we are as an organization now, like trying to transition to, really getting our name out there more. But because we are academics and because we are academics and hackers and hustlers, to be honest, like, I didn't come from like a super privileged background or anything, right? Like I always scraped and figured things out. Like when I wanted to be a cheerleader, my parents had divorced and we were doing great because they're both like, I'm like at least fourth generation entrepreneur on both sides. Like, it's crazy. Like my great grandmother had like a corner store in the South, right? A laundromat. Like, I mean, I'm from people that pull and scrape and then look at the, the child that they have and say, you can do anything, regardless of what the world tells you. And my dad is from another country. Like, my dad's from Nigeria. His dad had a shipping company and, was an entrepreneur. And my dad came to America and started a newspaper. He's from another country and started a newspaper, but the newspaper was to help people to know more about what was going on the African continent. So anyway, it's like, I'm from generations of people who are like, you can do anything. And I'm thankful that by the time it got to my generation, it wasn't just about surviving, right? It wasn't just about making a business to survive in a system that is against you. It was about finding these issues in society and trying to fix them. So it's really, I feel very privileged that I can do this, that I can go and get a PhD and I can be a professor and I can start a business that I feel like has an impact on this world that I love so much.
That's so wonderful. And you've kind of just started down this path a little bit, but I'd love to hear just a little bit more about you and kind of what was the moment that really inspired you to do this and kind of launch you like into this organization?
That is a good question. And what's interesting is early on, when I talked about the inspiration for Reflekt Me, there was a specific point in my life, like a moment that I'll never forget, where I'm this new mother and I'm going through something kind of funny, like teaching my daughter how to wash her hands after using the bathroom. And, before you have kids, there's so many things that just happen so quickly, right? But when you're raising a child, everything has to be so intentional. And it takes probably 4 times as long. And so I think that I started dazing off. And I looked back down at my daughter and she was still washing her hands. I'm like, she's still washing her hands. Like, that's great, but girl, it's only a certain amount of seconds. And I noticed that she was looking at herself in the mirror. And I took the intentional moment to look at how my 3-year-old daughter was looking at herself in the mirror and how she loved herself. I could see the love that I give to her, that it was coming out of her eyes to herself. And I was like, that is beautiful. But then, like most parents, you go high and then you go low, like, oh no, did I used to feel like that? Right? Like, I have really good self-esteem. Just to, just think about the way we started the conversation. The majority of us don't look at ourselves that way in the mirror. We are like, all right, you put yourself together, you look great. But my daughter was looking at herself outside of the male gaze, outside of society, just like, I love you. And so I was thinking, okay, I have all these skills as a researcher, as an entrepreneur. I work with Fortune 500 companies, doing business insights, helping marketing companies. How can I maintain that in my child? And so I thought about the work that I'd done in the past and the work, that I was currently doing, business strategy, all these different things. And I realized that there was some synergy there. I, as a sociologist, I always think about agency and structure, right? Like what we can do ourselves and then what we can do within structure. What I was doing as a parent was making sure that she had dolls of all different skin tones, that she watched cartoons where there were all these different people together and they were all beautiful. There wasn't like this hierarchy of things. And I always told her she was beautiful and all these things. And to look at people in this like spiritual way, this holistic way, that we're all beautiful. And so how can I create this experience for other people that aren't my children? Or how can I bring that back? And there was an article I got, Dr. Ridgway Clayton, I believe out of Florida State University. I was like looking at all this research. And in sociology, there is symbolic annihilation. There's this theory that if you are symbolically annihilated from spaces, like from movies, people can literally be socialized to think that you're not human, that you're not worthy. People can get to the point where they can, harm you or do laws against you or do different things because, to be honest, in their mind, in their reality, you're not human. You're not seen. And so her research was more focused on imagery and shopping. It was very, very focused in mainly on women, I believe, because this is years ago. And please, Dr. Ridgway Clayton, because she was very nice. I emailed her, and if I say anything wrong, please. But she was looking at it from this neurological standpoint that when women would see someone who wasn't their size, they would see like the typical model, right? Like 5'10", size 4, that they would have neurological damage. They couldn't recall information as well. It was literally harming them to see these models because even if they weren't saying, even if they had done like enough to work or, worked through to say, this image doesn't harm me. I see it every day. We're all shopping. Their brain was still going through this process, right, of kind of breaking themselves down a little bit because they're seeing this thing. And when she would show them images of women who look like them or close to them, that they didn't show those signs. So it was kind of like, okay, here we go. And I looked at, other companies who are doing it, like shout out to Universal Standard, shout out to all these companies that really put a lot of intention into showing a lot of models and different sizes. And when I, briefly would catch them at different things, like chasing them all over, I would get the feedback that it was really, really hard to do, to get these models, to find models of all different sizes. And then to shoot all the content to put on the site was really hard. So I was thinking, okay, so how can I create a way to help these companies that want to do this, do it faster and cheaper? And then I looked at social media and what our behavior is. And what I would do is I would put in my size. I would find those accounts that were like, see this dress in 3 different sizes. And I think I still have some of those videos. And if I would find someone who was my size, it was gold. And, I'm an in-betweener. So I'm not, I'm not a size 4. I'm definitely not 5'10". You could probably tell even in the video, I'm kind of small. 5'2", I think, a little bit, right? Depends on who's measuring me. But I'm 5'2". And so I'm not, I'm not in the size label that's considered to be plus size. And I'm not in the size label considered to be like 0, small size. So even then you're seeing even less images. But when you look at the data and you see that 70% of women are size 14 and up, 70%. But they only see themselves in 2% of images when they're shopping online. And there's projects around this, right? I think it's called the 67% project, all that kind of thing. why as a brand would you want to alienate 70% of the women who are shopping on your site? And they're not doing it on purpose. It's again that mentality that what people want is to see someone they want to look like and then buy those clothes hoping they'll look like them. But we're in the age of social media. My mother-in-law will take a picture of me and post it on the World Wide Web. And I didn't, she just will do it. I love her. She loves me. She thinks I look beautiful. But I'm like, Mama, like, Mama Lisa, like, why are you? So we're in this age of where you care more about what you look like in the clothes because there's images of you floating around everywhere. So it's like, if that model looks great, good for her, love and light. But I need to make sure I look right in these clothes. So, we're just in a different time. So, we worked with this concept of social media and behavior that we already have. And then we've added that on to the research of, what key stimuli, what key things will help people to feel better about themselves and what our brand's currently doing. And so that was a lot of the structure. And I didn't know anything. Like I talked to my cousins, again, I have to thank my family. They've been immensely supportive to me. I mean, we won a pitch competition for 30K. We got institutional investment from Backstage Capital from Arlen Hamilton, who believed in us from the very beginning. And we were building a board. We have Keith Pegues, Becca Shaddix, Gregory Blackwell, Calvin Walker, all these people who believed in us from the very, very early beginning before we had really anything. And we were just getting started and we got all this support. And I was literally like, what is this called? Like clicking through competitors. What is that? When this opens, and now I'm like, oh, we have a modal product. You put this in your URL. We use a JavaScript snippet. I'm a PhD in sociology. I don't know anything about technology. What I'm starting, and I had to just go through and screenshot. And I learned how to do customer journeys. I learned a lot about product and how to build this thing. And I didn't sleep for I think 3 months when I first got this. When that moment happened with my daughter, and I started to think about what this business would look like. I didn't sleep for like 3 months, and then that was around the time I did the pitch competition, and we won 30K. And that first 30K from Black Women Talk Tech. That was like my first tech conference. And we won. And we were rejected. So they sent out an email about the conference and they had a pitch. And we were rejected from that pitch because we were so early on. We had just incorporated. This was within the same year of incorporation. And then they offered this other thing, like a people's choice, where everyone there at the conference would vote on you. And that's what we won. We won the people's choice. We didn't necessarily win the, on the stage thing, but we actually won more than the people who were on stage, right? And we didn't lose any equity early on. So that was really a blessing for us.
I'd love to know a little bit about kind of how you measure success, and then what are some of the impacts that you've seen from your organization?
Mm-hmm. So measuring success, I mean, there are so many things that we deal with, elements of survivor's remorse. Sometimes when you are really successful and you come from a different background where not everyone like has the same resources that you have. And, you are changing careers and you have these really high expectations for yourself. I mean, I'm a A student. I grew up on sci-fi where like you want to be just like, you're like Gamora, you can fight a whole planet on your own. You know what I'm saying? And so success is like this word that I am trying to get more comfortable with, because success sometimes has this finality to it and not the cyclical component to it. And I think that we chase success as like this binary thing. And I've learned to think of success as more of a cycle. So just putting that out there. So
I love that.
measuring,
No, that's really important point. I agree. Yeah.
right? Like it's like
Yeah.
just, you'll never make it.
Mhm.
So thinking of it as like the cyclical thing and trying to reimagine it in a way that's healthy for my mental health. We measure success, based on our vision. And our vision is really to humanize those who are dehumanized in digital spaces. So the fact that over 1 million people have experienced Reflekt Me and had that feeling is success for us. It's a level of success that we've created something that is doing what we want it to do. So there's that level of success. As a team, we measure success by our harmony and not just our productivity. We're a very harmonious team. There's me, there's my co-founder, Dr. Gerald Mitchell, and then there's our CTO, Jorge. We have amazing people on the team too, but we're that core C-suite team, and we have a level of harmony with one another. We respect each other's boundaries. We care for each other. We won't, in the beginning, I think we all were so used to not having boundaries at work that we were self-imposing a lack of boundaries with each other. And when I would find something out, like your kid is sick, I'm going to tell the client that they have to wait 48 more hours. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't just push through it. And I would do it myself. I remember there would be times when not a lot, but where I wouldn't sleep, and there was a year that felt like one long day with naps. But I felt that was me being successful, was me like but my productivity wasn't as high. But when I focused more on harmony and when I focused more on cyclical levels of success, and those sort of elements, like being ethical, you know, helping others, like I started to go, I haven't done much. But when I look at the stats and see that only 3% of women-owned tech companies have gotten institutional investment, I make sure to network and not only find people who are doing better than me, which I love, but people who are just starting out and try to like help them. That feels like success because I'm having an exponential impact on someone who may do something better than me. Like there's like Herman Russell out here in Atlanta. Their family is amazing, right? They have all these companies. They do all this amazing stuff with succession. And the story is that like he helped Martin Luther King. Not a lot of people know Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. So Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who is my idol, right? That's why I'm a sociologist. So, and now I'm in a stakeholder program at a center named after that family, but I didn't know who that was. So anyway, it's like, I'm perfectly fine with having my success and then helping someone else to do something that changes history. Like that's success too. So that's what I'm trying to do. So I know it's not like concise and succinct because I'm noodling through it myself, but just really trying to think of success as like this holistic cyclical thing based on like harmony and impact and helping other people.
What a beautiful answer. I love that. And I think it's so important for students, especially, which are a lot of our audience, to know that like that doesn't have to be defined for them right now. And also like that is cyclical. Like you can't just, you're chasing one thing, like what if you never get that? Or what if you do? Then what happens?
Right.
I don't know. I think that's so great. Do you have any favorite stories of impact that you've seen through Reflekt Me?
Ooh, I have so many great stories. I will say that early on, we were just starting out. There was a company, a dope heart that we were prototyping with. And it was a small t-shirt shop, and she had all these different t-shirts, and we were testing out, how people interact, getting content, all these things. And she was reaching out to her customers, and we met with her customers to talk about the process and them, creating the photos and the images. And we talked to them kind of before, during, and after. And I literally saw a shift in these, in these customers and these people when they felt beautiful, when they felt valued. And there was a woman who was like, I'm going to take more pictures of myself. I literally went and like bought a selfie stick, and like did all these things because she's like, I deserve to be seen. Like, you're right. Like, so it was like the ethos behind what we were doing, and then grabbing these real people. It's like, you hear these stories about models and how someone walks up to them in a mall and is like, you need to be on the runways of Milan. And how that shifts you, right? There's no way that doesn't impact you to have that feeling. And for us to reach out and say, we want you to take, these photos and to be on the site, and for this brand that they love, that they've already purchased from, to say, yes, I want you to represent me. That was hugely, impactful for the people involved, for the company. She got a 4-time sales lift, right? The highest sales lift for that small company. And so that's been huge. Also, more recently, I'm not following the rules, but early on, that was a big impact. Sorry. And then, when we launched, with Levi's, and we started to see those metrics of what we were doing in America, and then when we expanded what we were doing in Europe, and to see this international, because I'm doing all this research on people, but you never know how things are going to translate culturally. And so to see that impact, and to see, there were, oh God, I love this photo that a woman submitted. She had, because I'm, bicultural. My dad's Nigerian, my mom's American, African American. And she had mixed like traditional Indian clothes with Levi's jeans. And like, it was the dopest thing. And I was like, people need to see that. People need to see how we express ourselves, and how we have clothes are our second skin. And brands aren't always aware of how we translate things and express our culture. And then more people can see the beauty of this expression of culture, and that you can kind of mix and match things and be yourself. And so that was hugely impactful for us to see like the gains that we had gotten for our client in those different countries, and then seeing like how the content was created. And then we are getting started with Puff Cuff. So here we haven't launched on her website yet, but I'm learning more how to take my business strategy arm, because I was so focused on the technology. When you get investors, they're like, you're B2B, it needs to just be the tech, be the tech. It can't be you. You're not scalable. But with AI, that's all changed. So now we're putting a lot of the strategy that I know into like agents, into the software to help you. And so what I've been working through with Puff Cuff is like her strategy. And when she's talking about her goals and what she wants to do, and how much she loves her customers, and how she's helped people who are cancer patients to use Puff Cuff because it's not harmful on their hair. So they can still do styles and still feel like themselves using her product. And then my technology is going to help her do more of that. That's wild, right? It's like you said with these students, it's this, you talk about the triple bottom line. And so, and I'm doing more I'm trying to learn more sustainability wise about how we can cut down returns, because returns is a huge, unfortunate issue. And sometimes people will buy more than one size of something, and they may return it. But sometimes if it's so cheap, they'll just throw it away. Or even if they don't donate it, just textile waste is just choking us. So I would really love to, I'm not trying to lower anyone's sales. I'm trying to have people get the right thing, so they're not just throwing all this away. And then we look away and we don't think about where these things go and how it impacts us. And then also our mentality of excess. Are we going to get used to seeing all of this excess? Are we getting used to not being intentional about where things go? So that's an element too, some impact that hopefully I can talk about, in the next, we'll see, you never know with technology and business. So maybe in 12 months where I have more of that data, but I want to be able to talk more about a sustainability impact, as well as a social impact, and as well as an impact for these clients. Also with clothing, the adaptable clothing. I want to find more clients who have adaptable clothing so I can put short form videos and pictures to help them to understand how to help their children and their loved ones and who they're caregiving to put on this adaptable clothing. So I'm thinking about, but again, it's cyclical. I'm thinking about the impact now, but I'm also thinking about the impact that I want to continue to have, and not to chase it like something I'll never attain, but things to work towards. And when I see myself making small gains towards it, I can enjoy those small successes and feel joy in knowing the goal that I am going to achieve.
That's so cool. Those are all such good stories. And I love the focus on like, yeah, we've made impact now, but like, what does that even look like in the future? And how do we keep moving? I think that's so important in entrepreneurship. And I love seeing that in you. I have one final question that we ask all of our interviewees, and I'm really excited to hear your answer to it. And that question is this. So imagine that you fall asleep tonight and you just have like the absolute best sleep that you've ever had in your entire life because you sleep for the next 5 years. And when you wake up in 5 years, everything that you've set into motion, everything that you've wanted to achieve has happened. What does that look like? What does, your organization look like? What does that world look like for you?
I love it. First of all, you're going to make me cry because I have small kids. And if I wake up and I miss 5 years of their life.
That's fair. I have small kids too. So you're not missing anything. You're not missing anything.
Okay, that's good. So 5 years in, I want the Reflekt Me experience to be table stakes for companies. I want people, like you look at an old website and you're like, oh no, like what is this, right? Or you even looking at previous magazines from previous generations, and they wouldn't show pregnant women, like it was taboo to show like a woman who was pregnant even though you're selling maternity clothes. I want people to go to websites and be like, you're not giving me a reflection. Like I will not shop here if I don't see myself. You can do it. There's a company that does it, right? It's not crazy. I want like the Reflekt Me experience to be something that people demand. And it doesn't only have to be us. There's tons of companies that do a lot of things. We're patented though, y'all. So watch out. Don't try to like steal us. But at the same time, I really want like within 5 years for people to be like, I want my daughter, because she'll be, she will be like 14, and I want her to go, wow, people used to shop and not see their size. Like people used to shop and not see what this looked like on their skin tone. Like why would they do that? I'm confused. I want her to be confused about this notion that only one type of person should be seen. Because to be honest, when you look at it now, it's a little bit ridiculous. And I think that's why we have so many influencers. We have so many things. And, I'm old enough to remember the time before influencers. I literally ran a streetscape network for a company where I manage people around the world to give us insights, to tell us what's going on in their country. Because at the time, people weren't using influencers the way that they are. And I was like managing those people. And so I remember a time before there were people who look like you, that you could follow. And so I really want that in 5 years. I really want people to go, if you don't, like almost like PayPal. There was a time where you could not buy things you had to mail a check. If you went to anybody's website and they said, mail me a check, they would go out of business. First of all, where am I going to get a check? No, I'm joking. I have checks, but and so I wanted to feel like that. And we don't think about that all the time. There was a time where people were doing transactions and could not just click something and pay. And so I want that to be the Reflekt Me experience. Like, this is what we have to have. It's table stakes.
I love that. And I love the way you like phrased that around your kids. I also like I think my daughter's similar in age to yours. And I remember her asking me one time when she was younger, like, what kind of iPad did you have when you were a kid? And I'm like, no, like iPads were not invented yet. But I love thinking like, that there are questions that I want her to like, what do you mean that like right, that you weren't able to like see people of all different sizes and colors and textures and all of these things when you like shop for something. Like,
Mhm.
what do you mean that like it wasn't like that when you were a kid? So I think that's just such a wonderful, like beautiful way to think about that.
Thank you. And you know what inspired that too? And I still have the picture. I was shopping with my daughter and we were in a retailer store and I looked in the girls section and there were all these different princesses and all these different characters. And I took a picture because I didn't grow up with that. I
Right.
grew up
Right.
wearing, none of them look like me. And I was
Right.
like, yes, let's keep doing this.
Yeah. Yeah. That's beautiful. I love that. I love that. Thank you so much. Is there anything else that you want to add that you want to make sure that people know about you or your organization before we wrap up?
Yes. So now I feel like I'm at the end of Hot Ones where you're supposed to go, what do you want the people to know? And I'm like, you know, um, check us out on Shopify. Please, help us to amplify our voice. We are, a new company. So if you have a Shopify store, or, anyone with a Shopify store, please reach out, comment on your favorite brand and tell them to get Reflekt me, just like help us with this movement to, if you want it and if you think it's valuable, we would love to have just like, a navy, like we're Rihanna, but, navy of people. And also, go to our social media, let us know what you're looking for, show us some companies that are doing something that you like so that we learn more and we get smarter about what's going on. But just like we really want you to engage with us, engage with our brands. That would be fantastic. In terms of what I would say to anyone listening right now and they want to start their own venture, or they're listening to this and going, oh right, yeah, there are things that I can start to make money. Yes. And at the same time, there are things that I can do that, I feel like will be fulfilling for me. And there are things that can do both. And I do want to say that there are times where you're definitely going to feel like you want to stop, or definitely times when you feel really scared. And that's the time to reassess and just say, look, am I scared because I'm doing something outside of my boundaries, or I'm doing something outside of, my spirit and what I feel like I should do? Or am I scared of success? Or is there a community that I can build around myself to help me with that fear? Because fear can really knock us out. And so I just really want to tell you that, like, we're all scared. Steve Jobs at some point cried underneath his desk. I can guarantee it. There's just that feeling. And so just really take the time to say, everyone's been scared. Just reassess your approach and try to figure out how to make sure that you're whole. Because if you're whole and if you're walking in your purpose, then, it will help a lot with that fear. And it's not that you won't be scared, but you'll be able to help yourself reassess and transition and not feel like this constant debilitating sense of fear. Because I've talked about this yesterday. There have been founders that I've seen who are doing amazing things that I've looked up to, that have raised all this money and done all these great things. And they've, harmed themselves, or they've committed suicide, or they've done different things. And it's heartbreaking and it's crushing that there was all this pressure, that there was all these things behind that. And, the world needs you. Regardless of any way that you feel about yourself, the world needs you. So if what you're doing is like killing you and it's making you feel afraid, like really reassess and put yourself at the forefront, assess your boundaries, assess your goals, and really make sure to love yourself first.
Wonderful. I Couldn't have said it any better. Thank you so much, Tope. It's been so nice to get to talk to you today, and to get the chance to have this interview. And I can't wait to share it and share your story and share your organization with so many more people. So I really appreciate your time today and your energy and your passion. Just thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it. You are just wonderful with interviewing. I was just like way too comfortable. I'm just like telling you my whole life. So I really appreciate it. And thank you also, for sharing your journey in motherhood. I really appreciate that connection and sharing that story with me. Your daughter is very fortunate, to have you as a mom. It's awesome. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Again, really appreciate your time. Can't wait to share this story with everyone.
Thank you.